He eats the faces of those he captured. He will capture you. He can already smell you. Roblox is a game of carefree, creative, and fun places. There were hundreds of games, all open to everyone. There were the oddball places, the places unfit for kids, the overwhelmingly annoying and obnoxious games designed to appeal to kids, and the golden bunch that appeals to everyone equally. However, in the crowd of oddballs, there was a place called the Eater of Faces. It was a game that was overlooked as an empty base plate, like most other places with scary names. But when the day came that the place had one single player curious enough to enter it, the base plate was no longer empty. In it was one player, and the Face Eater. The player saw the Face Eater and walked up to it, observing what seemed to be a Robloxian with no face. Soon the Face Eater had a mouth with torn skin on it, with bits of skin in its mouth. The player tried to type in the chat, but then realized there was no chat bar. Then the player realized it could barely see anything. Then there was a heart-racing realization made. The Face Eater took the player's face, which is why he couldn't chat or have good vision. No longer did the Face Eater have a Robloxian form. Now it had a realistic human form, but all wrong. Fingernails stabbed in its skin, its eyes having two pupils, its spine massive and protruding out of its back. It was horrid. Then it vanished. And then the player heard groaning, but it wasn't from the game. It came from behind the player in the room. Face Eater was on the front page of the Games tab to Johnny. Johnny was a curious boy who enjoyed being a detective and exploring mysteries, debunking myths and finding truths. Face Eater knew this and it directly modified Johnny's account to always show the Eater of Faces as the most popular game, regardless if it was the most popular or not. Johnny saw this as a new chance to find a new mystery to talk to his friends about. Oh, poor Johnny. He didn't realize the whispering sounds he heard while in the game didn't actually come from the game. Johnny, confused by the whispering and the strange Robloxian in the distance, decided to turn his volume to 0, then leave the game. However, he didn't leave the game after muting the game. Not because he didn't want to, but because Face Eater didn't want to. Johnny was starting to get scared from not being able to leave, but now something else worried him. The Robloxian in the distance wasn't a Robloxian. It was something he couldn't even begin to describe with his own 10-year-old eyes. It walked with a limp towards his character. Then everything went black. At the same time the whispering stopped. His chat bar vanished, and the deathly silence engulfed him, the game and his room. Then he heard a groaning. He checked the volume bar. 0. Then, little Johnny was never seen again. Noah heard something call his name from outside, mainly from around his neighbor's house, where he heard a loud scream and growl some time before. Noah was afraid of this, as he had always been superstitious and aware. He decided to play Roblox to take his mind off the unsettling activity at his neighbor's house, hoping this neighbor was awake to play Roblox as well. And his hope had paid off. His neighbor was online, and playing a scary game to add. Noah had mixed feelings, debating whether he should join his friend to comfort himself, or stay away from the game to prevent any further disturbing events. He decided to join his friend out of pity for him possibly being scared, and his computer screen shattered. Showered with glass and sprinkled in little blood drops, Noah ran to his bed. Noah wondered why he had blood on him, as he had no cuts from his computer shattering. Then he saw something. It was a horrible impression of a human, with all the body parts twisted and shifted into places no normal person would ever have them be. It stood out his window, with a smile that was breaking in its own jaw. How it was standing out his window if his room was on the second floor of the house. Its face started snapping, tendons ripping out of its mouth and tongue sticking out from its eye, stabbing through its closed left eyelid. Its mouth opened wider than Noah ever thought he would see. Then it became a blur as it moved away from the window at speeds impossible to be human. After a few seconds, its deformed fist burst through the window like it was nothing, sending glass everywhere. After realizing it couldn't fit through, it smashed the wall. Noah had enough and ran to his parents' room. His parents, It had somehow went over to the parents' bedroom window, grabbed them with a third arm of extreme length and deformation, and ripped off their faces. They were still screaming, but in a way he never thought was normal. But then how could they scream if it just punched their faces even further down their skull? It'd be impossible. Then Noah realized his sister was still in her room, asleep. Then it smashed through his bedroom wall, rampaging through the house looking for him. He grabbed his sister, ran downstairs into the kitchen, and hid in the food cabinet. Noah looked at his sister and almost screamed. It already ate his sister's face. He dropped his sister in regret, but disgust at the same time, then ran outside. He saw the creature look outside from his parents' smashed window, and started bashing the walls in order to break out of the house to chase him. Noah was grabbed and thrown into the sky, farther than he ever knew he could be. It then jumped and bit his torso in half, then grabbed his arm and ripped him off. Then Noah woke up. He heard whispering and went on his computer to check out if the dream just told his future. His friend was online and playing a game called The Eater of Faces. Now, what a pasta, right? What an amazing read. This one, it was long, it had an interesting hook to it, and it left a lot of questions up in the air. It had really creepy visuals, and it's just amazing all around. So I'm definitely going to have to give this one an 8 out of 10. I hope the next ones I read are as good as this one.